Hey everyone, Megan Olivi, Marc Raimondi here inside the MGM Grand Garden Arena. I feel like we haven't been here in a while.
Throwback.
Truly a throwback. UFC 269 fight week is in full swing. We are here before weigh-ins begin. There's been a lot of activity this week.
Yes.
A lot of takeaways. I'm curious, when you're looking at all the storylines and all the things we've seen go down at UFC 269, what stands out to you?
That's a great question, and I think a lot of people would probably say Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira because it's such a huge fight. You know, both guys have been on a similar journey trying to get to that title. Dustin Poirier, if he does it, would be a historic moment for him in his career, ups and downs, finally reaching the pinnacle. However, I have to give a shout out to Amanda Nunes, and I really feel like in many ways she has stolen the show because for the first time we've seen a contender, a challenger, go toe-to-toe with her verbally, and that's Julianna Pena. And how good does Amanda Nunes look this week? She is absolutely shredded. The best I think that she's ever looked on the scale.
I would agree.
And I think, and from what I've heard from her teammates and her coaches down at American Top Team, she put in a crazy amount of work for this fight, and I think we're starting to see it, and I think we'll see it even more on Saturday night.
I absolutely love that was your answer because that was mine as well, especially the heat.
I stole your answer?
No, I'm not really supposed to answer, but here we are. The heat on this co-main event, I feel like, is just something to talk about.
Yes.
And you mentioned Amanda on the scale, and I think at some points in her career, people maybe criticized her work ethic. That can certainly not be in question. She's one of the greatest of all time, so she came in under today, 134.5. It's been almost 2 years since we've seen her compete in the bantamweight division and defend her title there because, once again, she owns 2 belts. But she did so with relative ease, it looks like.
Yes.
When you're Julianna Pena and you are preparing for essentially the biggest fight of your life, the most important fight of your life, what's the area of focus? Is it a physical thing or is it a mentality thing?
That's an awesome question, and I think for someone like Julianna Pena, she is the kind of person that kind of puts all that stuff to the wayside, and she doesn't care. Like, she doesn't strike me as a person that really lets all that stuff bother her. She is like laser focused, this woman, and she has been, she's been talking about Amanda Nunes for years now, and she's finally got that opportunity, and I don't think all that other stuff is even going to bother her. I think that she is completely locked in, dialed in. She was willing to, how many people have talked trash to Amanda Nunes over the last few years, Megan? How many?
How can you?
Like, I think I can count it on no hands. And Julianna was taking it to her verbally, and I think it'll be much the same way in the cage. I don't know how it's going to go, but I don't see Julianna Pena being intimidated in any way. But one last thing on Nunes. Greatest of all time, right? I think we would all agree.
Absolutely.
Greatest female fighter of all time. Still in the gym, making improvements, getting better, in the best shape of her life now, years after she won the title. It's impressive.
Yes, impressive and important. Marc, there's a lot of other storylines that we could touch upon. I'm going to throw some out at you, and you tell me what you want to chat about. We've got Dominic Cruz returning against Pedro Munoz.
Yes.
We've got Dan Ige versus Josh Emmett in a fight that I think could be absolutely bananas. We're seeing Cody Garbrandt move down. Sean O'Malley once again is opening up the
100%.
pay-per-view. Jeff Neal versus Santiago. There are so many impressive athletes where these fights on Saturday night mean something for their future, and particularly their future when it comes to a title.
Absolutely.
What stands out to you the most in this card otherwise?
There are a lot of good choices there, and there are so many storylines about this card, not just the main card either. Even on the prelims, there are a million different stories, and I do want to shout out and make note of Cody Garbrandt because this is his first time moving to 125 pounds. He's the former champ at 135. There were questions, and maybe there are still questions, but I thought he looked fantastic on the scale, so much so that he dropped his mask while he was weighing in, and it fell behind him, and he still had the reflexes to grab it out of midair. To me, that's a pretty healthy weight cut if you have the reflexes to do that. That may mean nothing, it may mean everything, but I think that Garbrandt's in a great spot. He wins this fight. Of course, no easy task against Kai Kara-France, who's also a great flyweight.
Right.
Title shot maybe in 2022. I think that's a possibility.
Absolutely, for either one of them. Kai Kara-France is not someone to sleep on. He's got power in his hands. He trains at a great gym at City Kickboxing. That's an awesome fight to talk about. One thing I do want to touch upon with Cody Garbrandt is he hired a nutritionist, a doctor nutritionist, who's also a chef. He is Italian. He was telling me he was eating pasta a few days a week.
That's relevant to our interests over here.
Right, so I just had to bring that up. Anyway, I appreciate your time so much, Marc. I think this is such an intriguing card from the very first fight on.
No doubt.
Randy Costa, that fight's even going to be amazing. So there's so much to look forward to. I think we're going to get to chat after the show because we can't possibly predict it all, but let's see how it all plays out on ESPN Plus Saturday night, UFC 269 live from Las Vegas. I'm Megan, he's Marc. We'll see you later.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.